Hello, readers and writers of the internet, welcome back. So I do apologize for kind of the long pause that we had there in this month of December. I meant to do a lot more, but recently my computer has been taken because it needs the entire battery to be replaced because my computer wasn't charging. It was, if I unplugged it, it would shut off completely, restart, whatever. So they have to replace the entire battery. So I won't have it for around 2 weeks. So this video, I'm actually going to have to edit on my phone as well as a few other ones. So it might take a little bit longer, and I do apologize for that. I've just been having some, struggles, I guess. But this video is my top 10 favorite books of the year. Now, I do want to point out that there is an order to this, but it doesn't really matter that much until I get to the top 3. Up until that point, I like them pretty much all equally. If it's at number 10, it's not the least favorite of my favorites, if that makes sense. But the number 1 slot is the favorite of the favorite. So I will be doing that today, so let's get into it. You Should Have Left by Daniel Kehlmann. This is a very, very tiny book, if you can see that. I actually read this for the reading rush because it was tiny and I know I could finish it in a day, and I did, and I absolutely love this. I'm not a big fan of short stories, but there was just something about this book that I just liked. I liked the atmosphere, I liked the writing, I liked the fact that it was in journal format, which I usually don't like whatsoever, but this one, it just really worked for me. I was actually really surprised by this book. I was like, this is gonna be an okay book. It made it onto my top 10. Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Graudin. This book was I actually found this book through, I believe it's called Haley in Bookland, and I'll put her channel down in the description below if you want to go check her out. I absolutely love her videos, and recently she's been doing Vlogmas, so every day she's posting a video, and I actually really like those, so go check her out. But she absolutely loves Wolf by Wolf, and I'm like, okay, let's give it a shot. I found it on Book Outlet, and I got it, and I absolutely loved it. So basically, Hitler has won the war. And I was really concerned going into this book. I'm like, this might be really offensive. I don't know how this is gonna handle this correctly, because it kind of had it had shape-shifting in it. There was a motorcycle race. I'm just like, oh no, but let's give it a shot. I actually really liked it. I thought everything was pretty much handled really well, and I wasn't too off-put by the shape-shifting and the motorcycle race. I actually really enjoyed those elements of the book, and I just really enjoyed the book all in all. Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book, I don't know if I've mentioned this before or a lot, but I absolutely love mythology. I love it so much. I wish that there were more books out there that focus on mythology, that took it a bit more seriously, like Lovely War, because there are a few, but they're kind of silly, I guess would be the word, and that's no offense to other books out there. I have heard good things about the Percy Jackson books, so I might be checking those out because I've heard they're really good, and I do love the mythology aspects of it. But anyway, this book is about Aphrodite, and she is accused of cheating on her husband, and she pleads her case by telling love stories that happen in World War II, I believe. And so you get to follow these two couples, and they all meet together, and oh my goodness, it's just heartbreaking. I almost cried during this book. Oh my goodness. And by the way, Hades is introduced, and I flipped out because I love Hades. I love him in the Hercules movies. But yeah, it's just heartbreaking, but it's such a fun read. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelinas. This book I actually listened to over Audible. I don't own a physical copy because it's not out in paperback in a bookstore, and I kind of don't want to pay for a hardback. That, and I don't really have a lot of shelf space for a hardback. Even back home, I don't. So I tend to stick with paperbacks. So I just decided to randomly listen to that book. Oh, it's so good. The mystery, I just love the premise. So this woman is arrested for killing her husband. She shoots him like 4 or 5 times, I believe. And after that, she refuses to open her mouth. She refuses to speak, anything like that. And this new doctor is sent to the psychiatric ward or the hospital or wherever she's being kept. It's not a prison. I think it's just a psychiatric hospital. And he is kind of tasked with trying to get her to talk. And there are just so many twists and turns as like you start to figure out and piece together the story. It just blew my mind. I loved it. I was sitting in my car at like Starbucks, I think, and when it finished, or when I read the plot twist, I quite literally like gasped. I was like, oh, this is so good. Loved it. 5 out of 5. The Storm Crow by Kaylin Josephson. This book is one of the most underrated books I've ever read, in the sense that not a lot of people talk about it, but it has like a decent amount of reviews, but I haven't seen it really circulated around on like BookTube or anything like that. But this book is about a girl that is forced into a marriage with a warring country. Find out that the Prince Arison's mother is a really bad person and has plans and stuff like that. And she also finds the last Stormcrow egg, and she's tasked with hatching it and trying to stop this war from coming into her country. Oh, I just love this book. I love the characters. I love the writing. I like the fresh spin on some things. For a moment, I thought there was going to be a love triangle. There was not, because this was handled how I think love triangles should be handled, without giving anything away. Ty, the main character, she likes someone else, right? And the prince likes her, but she makes it very clear to the prince that she does not like him back, that she has feelings for someone else, but he still likes her, and the person that she likes her. So there isn't, who should I choose? You know, I'm gonna tug them along. It's like, no, she clearly states, I do not like you. That's how a love triangle should be handled, because the third party gets left out and they get hurt, and that's how it should be handled. That's how it should be handled. Not like Mockingjay or the Hunger Games series. That's not how a love triangle should be handled. This is how it should be handled. So kudos to you, Kaylin Josephson. You did it. Thank you. But this book, it's not talked about a lot, but I absolutely love it. I cannot wait till The Crow Rider comes out in paperback, which is the sequel to this one. I'm just so excited. The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. This book, I can't really explain the entire premise, but basically all you need to know is that it follows a bunch of characters. Some are serial killers, 2 of them are serial killers, and then others are just like down on their luck, but they all merge together at one point. This book I thought was going to be depressing. I read it for spooky season. I'm like, let's do it. You know, they just come out with a Netflix movie with it. I'm like, okay. This book is the right kind of depressing, where like all the characters are miserable. There's really nothing to like look forward to in this world, but it's just like you want to see them prevail. Like even the bad guys, or the people who do bad, you just feel so sorry for them. But everyone is a slime bag. Everyone, like even the preachers are a slime bag. And usually I'm kind of like iffy about like religious commentary, but I felt like it was done right in this book, in a sense that it wasn't just the religious people who were messed up. Everyone was messed up. And then, you know, I know I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but it wasn't like it was making fun of religious people. It wasn't like, I'm going to take a jab at you. It's like, no, this is just one of those people who happen to be religious. And I like the way that was done. Despite how like dreary and sad this book is, and just how like there's like little to no hope in it, I love this book. I read it so quickly, like every weekend, because I had school. That's the only time I could read. I'm like, let's do it. I want to read this book. It was honestly one of the best, and I want to read other works from this author. Nemesis by Brandon Reeks. This is another underrated book where like I don't see a lot of people talk about it, but unlike The Storm Curl, I have not even seen this in like a bookstore. Like I just happened to find this on the internet and decided to buy it. I absolutely loved it. So this follows two characters, Min and Noah, and they both suffer from every 2 years, I believe, on their birthday, they are hunted down in their dreams and they are killed, and they wake up in a random location with like no memory how they got there, but they have scars on their bodies from where they've been like shot or stabbed. And so they start to uncover like a corporation in the town, and they try to figure out what is going on. And that's really all I could say before like everything just like spirals. I really, really, really want to read Genesis, which is the sequel to this book, next year. Like I'm going to get to it. Like there's no way around it. I will be reading Genesis. This book, I love Noah. I love Noah. I like the twist that he was a popular kid, but he suffered from social anxiety and he only did stuff with the popular kids because of his anxiety. I like that. I like that he didn't pretend to be like tough and all that kind of stuff, and then when he meets men he lets his guard down. No, he was awkward and like that all the time because he, you know, his anxiety. And I like how the anxiety was handled. I don't think I've talked about this, but I do have social anxiety. It has gotten slightly better, but when, you know, especially in school, it flares up a bit. But I liked how this was handled with Noah's character. I could really relate to it. I really liked it. It was job well done. And I liked Min. Tack, Min's best friend, was a bit annoying at times, but I was willing to overlook that. But I just love this book, and I just love this series, and I want to read more. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This book I've talked about a lot on my channel, so I'm going to kind of keep this short. So Scarlett is invited to play the game of Caraval, but her sister is actually the prize. So if you find the sister who's been kidnapped, then you win the game. And if you win the game, then you get a wish. And I just love this. I just love this book so much. The writing style is so beautiful. How Scarlett sees and like smells colors is really cool. I like the love interest Julia in this. He's really nice. And I like that Legend is such a mystery in this, and that the game of Caraval is like nothing what it seems. And that's really all I can talk about in this one because it is focused around that mystery aspect of it. But I have read Legendary, the sequel, and right now I'm reading Finale, which is the third and final book in the series, and I'm low-key kind of sad that I'm going to be finishing it. But I do follow Stephanie Garber on Instagram, and I have seen that she's writing a new book. I think it's called Once Upon a Broken Heart. I've never been so excited for a new release. I will have to wait till it comes out in paperback, which is really, really, really depressing, but I can do it. I've done it before and I will do it again. I'm just so excited that she's writing more because I just love her writing style and I just love her ideas and the worlds that she creates. The Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This was actually the first book of the year that I read, and it has remained in my top 10 throughout this time. My teacher, my DE English teacher, actually recommended me this book, and I was like, why not? She seemed really excited about it. Let's do it too. I read it within like a week. Like it was so good. It was so good. It handles racism, sexism. The main character is a black girl who lives in a swamp, and everyone calls her, I believe it's the Swamp Girl. And she's an outcast. And then one day she's accused of committing a murder for one of the more popular boys who was white in the thing. So this book kind of plays with like time frames. It jumps back and forth between like the present and like the other years and stuff. And you get to watch her grow up all by herself out there because her father and the rest of her family abandoned her out there. So she's just out there by herself, trying not to starve, trying to get money. Oh, this book, it just warms my heart. On the ending, without giving anything away, oh, it's one of the best endings I've ever read in my entire life. And like looking back through the book, I'm like, that was a clue, that was a clue, that was a clue. I like that you didn't know it was a clue until after you'd read it, and then everything kind of made sense, you know? But it was expertly written, especially the scenes involving animals. This author, I believe, was a zoologist, so she writes books and studies on animals and stuff like that. So she's very knowledged in, like, you know, the terrain, how they interact, how they look, and stuff like that. So when you would get to a scene and see like 2 fireflies or something, it was a really pretty scene, and she described it really well, and I just love that. I hope that she comes out with another book that isn't about zoology soon, because I actually really like this one a lot. It's just, chef's kiss. And my number 1 book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I'm sure that you guys all saw this one coming. I just love this book right off the bat. I'm actually in a minority here because I like Six of Crows better than I like Crooked Kingdom, just a bit. I do like that Crooked Kingdom expands upon side characters' plots more, so like Matthias, Jasper, and Wylan, they get a bit more, but in this one is just, I love it. I love the pacing. I've heard a few people say that like the beginning is slow, but for me, if it's like a build-up of a plot and characters are having interesting conversations or doing interesting things, and I do like the characters, I don't mind a slower start, as long as I, you know, can get behind the characters and what they're doing and how they're interacting, and that's exactly what happened here. I love all the characters in this book. I do like some more than others, but there wasn't like anyone where I got to their chapter, because it is written by chapters, so like, you know, Matthias is one chapter, Kaz is another one. That's how it's written. But I never got to one chapter and was like, oh my goodness, it's this person. I like skimmed through it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's this person. Let's go. I just love this book. It's my favorite. I'm probably gonna reread it next year. I do want to read more of her books like King of Scars, but I have to wait for that to come out in paperback. But Ninth House just came out in paperback, so I should be getting to that one this year. And just a side note, I won't be reading Lives of Saints or the Thorns book. I forget what it's called. I do apologize, but I don't like short stories, like a compilation of short stories. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not going to spend money on something that like I'm not interested in. Like, I do love the world that she's created, but I'm not like that into it. I'd rather just read like a full novel like this one. But oh my goodness, I love this. Kaz is by far my favorite character. Like, oh my goodness, I just love him. I love him. I love a moody king. I do. I honestly do. I'll die for him. I'll die for an emo boy, okay? But it was written so well. The plot was great. The characters were great. It's just like even just looking at it, it just like makes me happy, like that I read it. And I'm kind of upset that I didn't read this sooner, because I was low-key kind of hesitant about it, because I had seen it on a lot of popular lists and a lot of people seemed to like it, but this was before I had even read like Shadow and Bone, so I didn't know it was part of like the Grishaverse. I just thought it was a heist. I was like, nah, that doesn't sound interesting. And then I read Shadow and Bone, not my favorite series, so my hopes were kind of down because people seem to love that. I'm just like, if they like this, what are they going to think about Six of Crows? You know, because they love that too. I don't want to be disappointed, but I'm like, let's just bite the bullet, let's do it. It's low-key like a continuation. Let's do it. One of my favorite series, oh my goodness. I love this book so much. Like, I can't even put it into words, but it's just, I love it. And there you have it. Those are my top 10 books that I read this year. It was a pretty good year, all things considering. Hopefully next year I will have, you know, similar interactions, I guess, with my books, or there will be, you know, more really good books next year. There's no doubt in my mind that I won't. But yeah, that was the video, and I will be getting this out to you as soon as I can, and then afterwards I will be doing a least favorite and most disappointing top 10. So I'll see you in that video. Bye!